it's just totally different. Like you share the car, you share the tires, you share the seat. You have to almost be as one, you know, as a three or two, whatever you want to do. You have to almost become the same driver to get the result in a way.
Yeah, it's a massive step as well. I mean, for people that don't know, and the listeners that don't know, actually, a lot of people that come from your single seater types, particularly the first years, say if they're coming to a Carrera Cup style or a Porsche, they do struggle. And you come in as someone, and I'd done well in all the single seaters stuff, and I jump in and I don't know. I'd heard of Amma Muller, who was champion at the time because he was obviously a GP2 driver and at Red Bull, but the rest of them I had no idea. And then you come in and you're actually at the back of the field and you're like, hang on, there's other good drivers out there that are really, really specialists in X, Y, Z. And that happens in every single championship. So my question to you would be, do you think the all-round driver, so if you can drive a single seater fast, a cup fast, be good in endurance, that's the overall complete driver? Or do you think you need to specialize in something as a kid coming up?
I mean, I think you've got to be good in everything, because you, like, some of the best drivers I've been teammates with or I've seen, that you put them in anything and it's just like, it's almost, you know, that I'd say the driver, you know, you get some very, very talented drivers. Like, I was teammates with Ollie Jarvis and Nick Tanley at Le Mans last year. And, you know, Ollie's been driving Mazda DPI and stuff, so he know a prototype. But, you know, you have Nick Tanley, who won Le Mans with Porsche. He's been driving GTs for a few years, but it's just, it's to be a true professional, you have to almost just adapt so quickly, because you only get like maybe 5 laps each. You have to then you have to be on the money straight away. You don't have a session to get up to speed. You have to be instantly fast, and it doesn't matter. And there's no massive excuses really, but there's no pressure. It's weird. There's not as much pressure in a way, but there's almost like no excuses in endurance racing. Do you know what I mean? Like,
I get you.
No one will look at you weird if you're just a bit off, you know, because you have traffic and you have the tire wear and all this stuff. So yeah, it's, you have to, I think you have to drive pretty much anything and be quick in it. Anything that you drive pretty much within a certain time frame. I think if you're good at something, just one thing, I think that's fine if you can get a career out of it. Or if you're going to Formula One and you want to just stay in single seaters and just go all the way, that's fine. But I mean, look at Fernando Alonso when he did the Daytona race in the P2. He wasn't massively impressive. He was just a normal driver.
Yeah.
And he's come straight from, you know, but that's prototype to Formula One to prototype. So it's just one of those things, isn't it?
I think you sort of, you know, your top factory driver, you quite often see them being able to jump in 4 or 5 different cars. I mean, Renault Rast is probably the one that always springs to mind to me. I mean, what he did, I think he did Porsche as well. Then he goes in LMP2. He goes and does LMP2 and basically wins everything.
Yeah.
You know, DTM, double-time DTM champion, jumps in a Formula E car, you know, beats his teammate, jumps in a GT3 car, fighting for Nürburgring Spa wins. And it's just like, that's what you've got to do to get those kind of, in that sort of position.
Yeah. He's probably, he'd be in my top 3 drivers I would look at and be like, that's someone who can jump in most cars. And
I think when it's people like him that make me, you know, when people say, oh, the best drivers in the world are in F1. And I completely understand why people would arrive at that conclusion, because it's not, like you said earlier, you know, people don't know about Le Mans drivers or sports car drivers as much as they know about the guys at the back in F1. So I get that. But Renault Rast is definitely top 20 in the world, I would say.
Oh, yeah.
And many others probably outside of F1.
Yeah, I mean, it'd be very interesting, like because you had Nico Hülkenberg came and did Le Mans with Nick and Bamba, and it's almost like F1 driver with 2 endurance drivers, and you can kind of see that those 3 drivers' performances were all the same.
Yeah,
and
for sure.
And you could even say some, like they were probably better than an F1 driver in certain areas. You know, I don't know the ins and outs, but I'm sure that the guys in F1, they can drive most things quick, but it would be more interesting to see them drive other things and see how they stack up against the other drivers in the world, you know?
It would be nice. Yeah, it would be nice. I think for me, you mentioned being teammates with Tandy. I think he's the cream of the crop. If you look at what he's won over the years, obviously he was awesome in a Carrera Cup car, and a lot of these guys have been, the top GT guys. A lot have done Carrera Cup. You mentioned Rene Rasti. I think he was champion 3 years in a row, from what I remember. Nick won it as well, and then he's won everything with Porsche. Then he's just gone to Corvette, and I think he won his first race with Simsy there in the Daytona warm-up race, and then they finished second first time out. And I know for a fact they've only done like 2 days testing, and then straight in and done a job like that. So I think, yes, you can get a bit blindsided. Formula One drivers are fantastic; they are brilliant. But I would love to see those, the contracts be opened up a little bit so they can pop in and do a DTM race, because there are drivers like a Hamilton or a Verstappen that I'm sure could do that with in a heartbeat and jump across, but you just never get to see it.
Yeah. And that's where, like, you don't, like, some in endurance racing, some drivers don't get the credit for doing a triple stint a night, or doing a 24-hour race, or doing, a 4-hour race. There's not much credit given to endurance racing for the level of drivers that are actually around. It's just everything's, Formula One, really.
Yeah, unfortunately, it is.
F2, F3 sort of thing. It's just everything, that's what everyone looks at.
I mean, it's got to come down to, though, surely, like, what people see and have access to on the TV.
Yeah.
I mean, F1, F2, even F3 now, it's like that's mainstream racing all of a sudden.
Yeah.
And your Nürburgring 24 hours, whilst it's on, is it on Eurosport? I can't remember.
I think so, yeah.
But it's just not, it's given as much attention by a broadcaster or broadcasting than F1. So I'd love to see it. I just don't think it'd ever happen much more. I don't think a lot of drivers would even fancy it as well.
It's a difficult one, because even going from paddock to paddock for a fan, it is quite different. Like, you can have so much access through the paddock in the endurance weekend. Like, you can have fans, they walk anywhere they want, and I think you'd probably get more enjoyment for a fan going to an endurance race than an F1 race, because you can get up closer and everything. But then F1 is the pinnacle, isn't it? So you want to see the fastest cars in the world, you go and watch Formula One. So
I think with F1 in the UK, especially since like Sky have taken over the production of it and been involved with it more, I think it's just been so much more accessible for people, and people have watched, you can watch all the free practices, all the debriefs, all the inside information all weekend. And I think, if you put other championships like that, how would they do? I think it'd be really interesting with, like, from the bike side, like our endurance world championship, that's popularity of that has just been creeping up every year, because you've seen some bigger riders go to it. Teams have become more established, but also you can watch it on Eurosport now, and it's amazing how much more people talk about it when it becomes available to watch on TV.
Sure. No, sure. It's a massive thing. It's always the media and whatnot. I think Le Mans covered massively, so that's probably a bigger race in total than the Nürburgring 24 in terms of coverage. Obviously, the Nürburgring 24 in Germany is massive, and in Europe, and the real true fans actually know about the Nürburgring 24. I think the more people off the street probably know about Le Mans. What's harder, I don't know. I haven't done both. I've only done the Nürburgring 24, and Le Mans definitely on the list. It depends on weather conditions, I'm sure, and grids per year.